Hey everyone, I'm Josiah True, and welcome to this episode of Eats and Digs, channel all about food and gardening. On today's episode, we're going to be juicing one of my favorite recipes. Very simple, just using 6 ingredients. And we're going to be using my Omega Slow Masticating Juicer. And then later on in this episode, I'm going to be taking you out to the garden to plant some of my tomato seedlings. And I'm going to give you 5 tips on how you can be successful planting your tomato seedlings this season. Let's do it. For today's juice recipe, we're going to be using 6 ingredients. We got some celery, we got some kale stems that are from the kale that I have in my garden, some carrots, some radish tops, which are also from my garden, an apple, and a half of a lime. I like to cut my produce down before I put it in the juicer, so it helps not clog this quite as much. And also I use a little strainer here because you can get a lot of pulp in your juice, especially if you're using a slow juicer. And you don't have to do that if you like the pulp, but I like to strain it. So we're going to cut this down, and then we're going to start putting everything in and make our green juice. Now that we've got all the produce cut up, it's time to turn this on and start juicing. I like to add a little bit of different things at a time so it mixes really well. So you don't just have all the same thing going in all at once. When the strainer's about full, I'll just turn the juicer off, and I'll take the strainer and a spoon and just kind of push the rest of the juice out of this pulp. And then once the pulp's good and dry from the strainer, I'll just dump it out and then start again. Almost finished up here, and we're going to have our delicious green juice. I like to juice a couple times a week when I have the time. It does take a little bit of time, but it's so worth it. So much nutrition all at once. It's really hydrating, just makes you feel so much better for the day. There's just so many health benefits. You get so much nutrition all at once, vitamins and minerals. And I've found that it actually makes my skin feel better and even my hair feel better after I drink this for a couple weeks at a time, months at a time. So I really encourage you guys to start juicing if you can, especially if you have a garden. It's a good way to use, like you saw, the kale stems and radish tops and some of the stuff that a lot of times would just get composted or thrown away. And this pulp that comes out, a lot of people just throw it away, but I also encourage you, if you can, to compost it, or you can even make some things with this. You can make some vegetable soup stocks. and you can even make like these patties and bake them. So if you guys are interested in that, let me know down in the comments below, and I might show you guys how to make a soup stock or something like that in the future. Alright, this guy's about finished up. I'm going to pour just a little bit of water in to clean it out, and then we'll pour this in a glass and we'll give you a taste test. We're all finished up. Here's the final result. It looks like we got a little over 24 ounces of juice. Pretty good. So let's pour this in the glass. And give it a try. It's really good. At first you taste the celery and that little bit of lime. I really love that little bit of lime in here. Definitely get a little bit of the sweetness from the apple, and then definitely can taste the greens, the radish and the kale. Very, very good. All right, well, stay tuned and we'll take you out to the garden to plant our tomato seedlings. See you in a minute. We're here in the garden now, and I've got 6 tomato plants or seedlings that I'm gonna put in the garden here. And I'll tell you what they are. We've got a pineapple tomato, sun globe, 2 Dr. Witchies yellow, and 2 Paul Robeson. The first tip that I'm going to give you is you need to harden your seedlings off. And what that means is they just need to be outside for a week or 2 so that they can get used to the climate before you put them in. These were started under lights inside. After they got a little bit bigger, I started putting them outside for a couple hours each day, not in direct sun. And then as the days went on, I increased the time that they were out and then started giving them some sun. Now they've been out about 2 weeks. So they're ready to get in the garden, and we'll do that in just a minute. So tip number 2 is you need to stake your tomatoes really well, because they're going to get really, really big. And last year I made the mistake of just using these guys, and once they got bigger, this thing just bent and bent and bent, and they all fell over. And that's okay if you have a lot of room, but we don't have a lot of room here, and we don't want it spilling out into the grass. So I'm gonna use these 8-foot furring strips that I got at Home Depot for about $1.50. I've seen some other gardeners use these with really good results. So I'm gonna go around and just pound this one in so you can see how they stand and how sturdy they are. So we've got these 5 in. I'm just gonna put the last one in here. Since our ground is a little bit wet, it rained yesterday, they slide in pretty well. But I just want to pound them in so that they're just really solid. Alright, that's in. It's really solid. I don't think it's going anywhere. Now we're going to plant our first tomato seedling. And for my third tip, the tip is that you want to bury your tomato plants as deep as you can in the hole. All this stem here will end up creating roots once it's in the ground. So I just pinch these 2 little guys usually. Give them a hole. Nice and deep. And then put it down as far as we can get it, just so the leaves aren't touching the soil though. You don't want to get the leaves touching your soil because that can cause some fungus and stuff. You want to make sure they're pressed in pretty well, but don't push too firmly on the soil. You don't want to compact the soil way down. Alright, so our first tomato's in. On to tip 4. Tip number 4, this is an easy one. Just add a little fertilizer down into the hole. And I like to use this granulated organic fertilizer because it's a slow release. So this should feed the plant over time. I just like to sprinkle a little bit in the hole, not a whole lot, because I do have good compost in this soil already. But that's just a little something to give this guy a boost along the way. Alright, Paul Robeson going in. Alright, so the 5th and final tip is you want to plant these tomatoes, or really any seedlings, in the afternoon, I think is best. Or if you have a completely shady day, because these guys are already going to be stressed when you put them in, and you don't want any more stress than they already have on them. So if you plant on a day that's sunny, they're really going to be stressed out and they may not even make it. So this is a perfect afternoon to get everything in, and I think we're going to have success. I hope you enjoyed this episode and learned something new here on the Eats and Digs channel. If you like this video, hit that like button and make sure you subscribe for our up and coming episodes of how the garden's coming along and more tips. I'm Josiah True, and we'll catch you on the next one. I'm just going to water these guys in for a good night. See ya.